Everyone. Oh gosh, got a bunch of some comments here already. Oh boy. Let's see. Yeah, hopefully everything works good. I am on my own again this week, broadcasting from the Cowboy State. That's all the way up here in Wyoming. And I say that mostly for my benefit, so that when I go back and watch this video later, if I ever do, I'll actually know where the heck I was. Because one of the challenges with moving around a lot is trying to remember where you've been when you did stuff. Oh, Gina's on. I was wondering if you'd make it, if you guys were going to be into town. All right. So anyway, yeah, I've actually taken to using a journal. I used to rely on Facebook to keep track of where I've been at different times, and so that I've taken to using a paper journal, and I write down every day a few of the important projects I'm working on, and I also write down where I woke up that morning. It doesn't happen often. Once in a while, I'll wake up in the morning and I don't even know where I am for a few minutes. Especially if I've been traveling, I can remember where I'm at. Because you're in the van or whatever, and you're used to. So your environment's there, but you can't remember where you're parked sometimes. Um, oh, hello, Doug. And so I've taken to writing down in the book, so I can, if I need to, I can go back and look it up. We'll have a conversation occasionally. Where were we in, such and such a time, or when were we in this place? And so that was. I started using that book, so keep track of it. Oh, okay, good. And Deborah's with Gina, but can't get online. That's at least she got a text message out yesterday, so I know you guys are there and okay. Oh, let's see. Hello, Sandy and Megan. And let's see, who else all is on here? Itching to Go, Marcia, Stephen. So, yeah, thanks for joining me, everybody. It's in the car again. Just too much junk in the back. So hopefully we'll be addressing that soon. That's on the list to provide a little update on a little later this evening. I have to apologize about the blown out window and stuff. Well, it's blown out of the camera. It's not really blown out. It's there. When the car is so small, it's really challenging to find a way to get the camera far enough away from me so that I'm not the camera's not right in my face, and to try and get it in an angle where something isn't blowing out because of the lighting. So if I was on a movie set, they'd have somebody standing outside with a shade, and that would fix that. But we're not on a movie set, so All right, so somebody's having trouble with the audio. Hopefully the audio is okay for everybody else. I got microphone on. Oops, hold on a minute. Oh, let me get the better mic. This mic connected. We'll see. It'll be better to see if that. Oops, I'm moving you all around too. See if the mic's connected there. All right. So yeah, I got a few topics to talk about. Hopefully people will. Oh, good. That's better now. Hopefully people will. I don't think it was plugged in good. Hopefully people will have some. Y'all will have some questions. I put that on our Meander Facebook page when I posted it. I said make sure you bring your questions so I don't run out of stuff to talk about and have to cut it short. So. Okay. Yeah, I must not have it plugged in good. You gotta wiggle it a little sometimes to make sure it's all the way in. The case gets in the way of the microphone thing. Cord. Plug. There you go, plug. So a lot of you probably saw on Facebook. I want to say thank you for everyone that expressed condolences and well wishes with the passing of my friend Elaine. Deborah posted that on Patreon and on Facebook this week. Elaine was a childhood friend, lifelong friend from childhood. We were like we grew up together. Our families were really close, and her sister and myself, my brother and sister, our cousin, we just were all basically like family. And so we were still in contact, and my sister and brother and cousin are still saw Elaine periodically because they're still back out east. And she got died unexpectedly this week. And that was it was a shock. She's only a year older than me, is the thing. So, and it was just completely unexpected, and just one of those things. I don't know what exactly happened. Just she was found unresponsive and brought to the hospital and died 2 days later. So it was just a oh, Deborah got online, awesome. Yes, and thank you, Deborah. but it was just a shock. And it really, other than my late wife Terry, this is the only person I've ever lost close to me who's was my age. So, and I know that happens as you get older, but it's just the first time it's happened to me, and it just really. I know for myself, my brother and sister, and my cousin, especially. I know I've talked to all them, and they just were really. We all were kind of like really shocked and really stunned by it. So I really appreciate everybody that had commented that. Oh, thank you, Gina. I gotta. Sorry, guys. Starting to rain. I gotta put the window up. But this car is so little I can reach it right from the other side, so it's okay. Yeah, thank you, Gina. The super chat there. I finally got that enabled this week after you all told me it wasn't working last week. Hello, Steven. Yeah, it's another thing I had to click on. It was on for the ads, but you have to click on a different thing for live chats. And since last week was the first one I'd ever done on this channel, I had to enable something different. And after you said it wasn't working, I remembered that when I set up the one for Do Meander last year, I had to do an extra step. So I remembered right before. Thank you, Gina. I remembered right before as I was setting things up and I was like actually watching the videos, but I haven't had a chance to watch, kind of catching up a little. It was like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that. So, and yeah, hello, Steven. Let's see. Steven's on here. Yeah, let's see. Blue eyes. Try not to stick my finger in front of the camera. And Sandy, yeah, life is short and precious. That is so true. And it just was a bit of a shock because it was she's so young and she left behind. I think they've adopted like 5 kids if my memory's right, and several of them are still at home. So it's just a really tough situation for the whole family. So. And yeah, it's been pretty nice all day here. The weather has been kind of cloudy. It started off sunny, been cloudy off on, which is okay because it was fairly warm, so it was really comfortable. And then the wind picked up a bit ago, and now all of a sudden it started raining right as the chat was starting. So that's all right. I'm in the car, so I'm dry, so it's all good. I thought I'd do a quick vehicle update because I put up that video the other day about what I'm thinking and everything. And if you didn't see the video, I think it's right on the channel. You can check it out later if you want. But it's basically what I'm leaning towards, because we kicked around a few different ideas. I'm kind of thinking if I can find a full-size van, hopefully with a high top, that's probably going to be the best all-around option for me. In terms of meeting my needs, which includes I want a desk with a workspace where I can have a dedicated space I have to work. That'll really will help my productivity and efficiency, which hopefully means I'll have more time to go do some other fun things like hiking in the wilderness and getting some cool photos and videos from there and everything. So, Deborah, I'm glad it looks tidy and organized. I won't turn the camera. It's a little less tidy and organized that way, but. So, oh, thank you, Catherine. And yeah, I was hoping that it'll be helpful to people, not just to people who are curious about what I'm doing and what I'm thinking, but to anybody that's thinking about getting a rig or maybe getting a different rig, because it really can be overwhelming trying to figure that out and trying to make those decisions. I know I've been in different vehicles over the years, and before I got back on the road in 2015, I spent a lot of time researching and trying to figure everything out, and I thought I had it figured out and still ended up doing something different anyways. So, so hopefully that reasoning will, my thought process will be helpful to anyone that's trying to make those kind of decisions. Deborah got on the road and she just did her van. She's been in the same van for 3.5 years now, but I think she said at her when we did that reveal video, I think she said it had been overhauled about 5 times. But after you do it a few times, you really get to where you know what works and what doesn't work. And so, like, I was in a cargo trailer I was in a car for a while, and I had to rearrange that a few times. But I didn't do any furniture. It was just rearranging the gear, the bags and boxes I was carrying stuff in, and where stuff was stored. That set up so everything actually fit in the trunk, which was nice. So I looked normal. It didn't look like I was living in the car, in other words. And then I had a cargo trailer for a while, and I redid that like twice. And the bed stayed in the same place, but the other things got moved. And then I got a minivan. I did that, I think, 2 or 3 times. I reworked that probably 3 times to get just to make little tweaks. And the thing about vans or minivans or any small trailer, any of that stuff is is you move one thing, or you get one new thing in the van, or and you move something an inch or two, and that's all it takes is an inch or two, and like nothing works anymore, and you gotta you gotta move everything around. So, uh, yeah, and that nothing special in the video, Deborah. I just was talking about my thought process of why I'm leaning towards a van as opposed to a RV or a trailer or some of those other things, and and then I did have some cool. The birds and the geese were going crazy in the background, so it was really fun. So then I shot some B-roll of the geese and the blackbirds and stuff around the lakes. That was kind of fun. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, and that van turned out great. Now I love how your van turned out now, Deborah. And Cindy Lou, at least for the summer, we're doing some different things. Uh, I came up to I come up to Wyoming in the summers to spend time with the kids and grandkids because I don't want to be here in the winters. and and so then I try to get out as much as I can, but I'm not always able to. Sometimes I end up stuck here more than I'd like because it's I'm in Gillette, Wyoming, and it's in the prairie, and it's kind of boring. If I can say that without, hopefully nobody else is watching from Gillette, but it's a little dull. And the Black Hills are nice, but they're a couple hours east. The Bighorns are fantastic. They're a couple hours west. Then you get into like the Tetons are like a 6 hour drive or something. So there's some cool stuff in Wyoming, but it's a drive to get to it. So I don't always get out as much as I'd like because of gas and just mileage on the vehicles and the time investment. If I'm going to drive 4 hours, I want to one way. I want to be able to stay for long enough to be worth doing it. So Deborah's doing some different stuff this summer. There's some things she's wanted to do, and she's come up with me to Wyoming for a few summers. And hopefully, if all works out, we'll get to meet up somewhere over the summer. If not, we'll meet up in the fall is the plan. When it cools down enough that she doesn't mind coming through here, because it gets really surprisingly hot here in the summer. That's another issue. So in the prairie, there's very little shade, and it's not uncommon for doing the 80s or even above 90 degrees in the summer. And so if you don't have air conditioning in an RV park where you plug in, it's kind of miserable. So, and again, it's a long ways to the mountains. And when you get up into the Black Hills or the Bighorns, it's nearly impossible to find a cell phone signal. And then you got like a 30-mile drive to get back down to town where you can use your phone. So it's kind of it's not the easiest place to hang around for the summer. So I totally support her wanting to do something different this summer, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for kids and grandkids and what have you. So I'll get out as much as I can, for sure. That's just a way we're doing things this summer. Oh, and Tracy came over today too, huh? Say hello for me. I've been wanting to meet Tracy for like 3 years and haven't had a chance yet. So, um, let's see. Yeah, those transits and ProMasters, both those. I don't. Somebody's asked me earlier about them. I don't know enough about them to have an opinion between them and which one I would like better or whatever. But I really like the design, but they sit a little higher and to get square walls and more headroom and stuff. So, I really like those things. So that probably be something. I'll be buying something a little bit older than those, but. See, Megan got kicked out again, so you're leaving. I'm not sure what that's about. I haven't seen anything come up here, Megan. That's what I've heard, Gina. I haven't had a chance to meet her yet, so. I have. Samantha's asking if I've been able to look at a van yet. Um, Tracy went to get a hotel, okay. Because she didn't bring her camper over, huh? Well, I'm glad she made it. You guys were able to meet up. And I wasn't sure if you and Gina would be on here tonight or not, so I'm glad to see you were able to make it. And I'm glad everything's going good over there. So, yeah, Samantha's asked if I've been looking at a van yet. I actually have. I believe I've got something all set up. No, I will post an update about that next week. It's probably going to be about a week before everything comes together. But it looks like I've probably got something squared away here. So I will definitely be posting an update about that. I'm really excited about it. And I've also got a few other. I was talking with a friend today. I don't want to say too much, but, but we'll. I've lined up a couple really cool videos today with a friend that you are definitely going to appreciate and enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to bringing those too. So I'm excited about that. And I think it'll work out really well. It just I don't want to say too much till it's a done deal and everything. But I will definitely film the process so you can kind of be along for it a few days behind real time. Catherine, if this doesn't work out, I will definitely let everybody know and see if anybody has any other leads. But I think right now I'm pretty sure this is all set. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Deborah said she wouldn't have missed it. I appreciate that. This is still only the second one I'm doing here, so it's a little bit, and doing it on my own, so it's a little bit of an adjustment. And following up on somebody was asking about us traveling separately, we started doing live chats a year ago. I think it was in May actually. So a few weeks short of a year now for Meander. We were coming back from New York to Wyoming, and we did our test broadcast in a parking lot in South Dakota, and then did our first real live one. I don't remember if it was in South Dakota or Wyoming then. But we did that, and we've been doing them ever since. Usually on Tuesday nights, almost every week, except for if we were somewhere we couldn't do it. And it's been a lot of fun. So we started. We looked into trying to do a system where we could both patch into the same live feed, and it's possible to do that, but it's going to require some software and bandwidth that we just don't have right now. So we're going to, instead of trying to worry about that, what Deborah came up with, Deborah's already doing her own live chat. She was doing it on Sunday. She now does it on Monday evenings. And so what she suggested was, why don't I start doing one on my channel on like Wednesdays, and then if we're together, we can do what Meander one on Tuesday. But that way it'll work out that way where we instead of trying to mess with the whole joint thing right now. We'll still be doing some joint videos over the summer, just not the live chats until we're in the same place again. So that's why we got started with this, and it's kind of they are a lot of fun getting to interact with everybody kind of in real time. I see what I'm missing now because I can't scroll and read and talk at the same time. So when we're in when we're in the same when we're in the same place, like Deborah can talk and I can read, or I can read and Deborah can talk, unless I just said the same thing, I don't know. But anyways, we can make that work out, but it's a little more challenging when we're doing it by myself here. So itching to go. You and Deborah are masters of keeping us on the edge of seats. Yeah, and I'm not trying to be intentionally vague or mysterious or anything. I just don't want to put out a whole bunch of details until I'm sure that I don't have any reason to think it's not going to come together. But Gina says the moderators can't miss out on the chats. All right. Oh, Wandering Sand. Been following since I had the minivan. They have a 2007. Yeah, that was a really good van for me. I think mine was I think it was a 2001 maybe. It was before they had the stow and go seats, which would have been nice to have that extra compartment in there since the seats were out anyways. But it worked really well for me. I got it. A friend sold it to me very inexpensively, and I drove it like 20,000 miles. Had it back and forth to Wyoming and Arizona a couple times, and I put 20,000 on it over the course of a year or so. And other than and it had like 226,000 miles on it when I got it, so it ran really well, and I did some a few repairs, but nothing too significant. It was just a really decent van and comfortable to drive. You get good gas mileage, and so that was really worked out well for me. Then we were able to sell it to we had a bunch of people interested, and the first person in line was he's now a friend, a viewer from Arizona, and she bought it, and as far as I know, she's still running it too, so that was nice to be able to pass that along that way as well. See, okay, here we go. Is it worth adding extra vent fans for the money and power usage, keeping cool in the summer? The Deborah's got two, and they do help. One definitely is a big. I don't know how much bang you get out of the second one versus if you're able to crack a window or something. But if you have a van that doesn't have opening windows, the two would be more helpful. The power draw is an issue if you have to use the fans. They can pull a fair bit of power, and especially if you're running two of them, and you think you're not getting solar if you're using solar or if you're running your engine to charge the batteries, you've got a long period at night when you're trying to keep everything charged. That you need a decent battery bank, and they can pull down power. So especially if you're running you start running 2 fans and a refrigerator, and then maybe throw in a laptop or something if you're doing any kind of work, and it can start to add up. So yeah, Deborah said, if I were buying a van and it did not have one, I would probably think real seriously about putting one in the back, like one of the back windows. Remove the window and fabricate a panel out of aluminum and mount it on that. You can do that. They work fine sideways. We have a friend who did that in the trailer, where they actually contacted Fantastic Fan to verify that it would work fine that way, and it did. And so you can actually draw it that way, especially if you put it high. In RVs, you got higher, and this might be true in like the Sprinters too, where they're taller, but they're taller, so you get more hot air. You get the hot air rises thing, so you kind of get that dead space above the windows a lot of times, and it's really, really helpful to move that out. I think it's a little bit less of an issue in a van, especially if you have like rain visors. You can crack your front windows or something. You can pull a lot of air through. Yeah, I would probably put them put one on the back, just because then it gives me more room for solar panels, and it's one less hole in the roof. But that's just me. Most people wouldn't worry about that. I'm trying to catch up again here, so. Looking for a particular brand. I am not. There are certain ones that would give me pause, just because, and I would want to know certain things have been done. So, and you can just do that in terms of research on a particular series, or just research a model you're looking at and see if it has known issues that you might want to make sure have been replaced. For example, with the Ford vans, it was a certain time frame. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. The spark plugs were too short, and they like to blow out, and then you'd have to have the head retapped and stuff. That's kind of a big thing. So you'd want to make sure that had been addressed on that vehicle, or you had the money set aside to get it all done so it wasn't a problem. So there's certain things like that. But other than that, I mean, I'm not loyal to one particular brand or anything. It seems like different manufacturers have a good run for a while, and then somebody else was out something that's really good. So let's see if I can try and finish catching up here. The box vans. I have thought about doing that, because you have the square walls and everything. Um, they're not A lot of them don't have the pass through, which I would, from the cab to the back, which I really would like, even if it wasn't like. Even if it was a small pass through, so you could like crawl through if you had to, it's nice to be able to go straight back and forth. And I'm not like a super worryful person, worrying person, but it is nice when I'm camped somewhere, if I'm in the back, to know I can just get in the front. Whether I'm out in the boondocks or if I'm in a parking lot somewhere, I can just jump up front and drive away if I want to or need to. And also, if I try to boondock, but sometimes I have to stealth camp. And when I have to stealth camp, if you're in something you can crawl straight in the back in, is great. You can pull into the parking lot after dark, put your windshield cover up or whatever you're doing, and just climb straight in the back. And you don't have to get out and go around and attract attention to yourself or anything. So the pass-through's nice. Other than that, they definitely can have some advantages. I've seen some people do some nice stuff with those kind of vans. You do have to watch out for it varies by state on what you got to do for registering commercial vehicles as a private vehicle. Some states make that easy, and some states make it difficult to nearly impossible. And if you're paying commercial registration, you're probably paying a lot more money, and you may have to pay commercial insurance, which is going to add up to a fair bit of expense as well. So let's see. I'm planning on doing a layout like Deborah's. Not exactly, but there probably will be some similarities. I'll definitely learn from the things Deborah did that I really like here. And Deborah's got a setup that works perfectly for her now. I want a little more kitchen space, for example, because I do more cooking, and I want a desk in mind for, at a minimum, if I'm somewhere for a day, then I can set up a laptop, because I work with a laptop and I got an external hard drive, and let's see, what else do I have going? Oh, you might have a camera with cards and stuff, and so it's just nice to have a desk to set all the stuff on. Otherwise you're like, I'm always like moving stuff, trying to get what I need is on the passenger seat, or moving it around the vehicle. And then it's also would be really nice if I'm staying somewhere for a few days or a week or something, I can just set everything up and leave it set up and not have to be breaking stuff down every day and setting it up again. So I really want a desk area to work with. But there probably will be some other similarities with what Deborah did. Let's see. Oh, hello, Joan. Hit the wrong video. Huh? Glad you made it, though. Oh, yeah, that's Catherine. I saw that and forgot about it. Kimmy was asking if I'm always happy. Don't let Deborah answer that. Not always, but I try to be. It's something I work on to try and not be, like these things I enjoy doing these chats, so it's a lot of fun. Had a pretty productive day today. Got to hang out at the park for a couple hours after I went to the library, so that's my next topic actually right there, so that'll lead right into that. So okay, pop up on the van. Those are cool, and they're pricey. But if you find a van that's already got one, they're pretty cool. And it would be nice for when you're camping, you can get it up and get that extra space without having to have the wind drag and everything all the time. I don't know if it varies between them. It might be challenging getting enough solar for my liking on that because of the weight, but probably could be done. But they're a cool option if you can get them done. But they do cost some money. I think they're probably similar to, I haven't priced them, but the round numbers I've heard, they're probably similar to traditional hardtops in terms of price and everything. What I got on the windows right now is just it's kind of like a Reflectix. It's a commercially bought windshield screen, but it's basically Reflectix that accordions, and I bought the extra thick, heavy duty one, and that really does, the heavier one makes a difference when the sun's really beating down. Oh, Deborah knocked herself off his back. As far as solar, as much as the budget and space constraints of the roof allows, Deborah's got 400 now on hers, and it's working very well now that we did a bunch of tweaks to it. I used to have 100 on the minivan, and that was not enough. So 200 would be kind of a minimum for me, most likely, and 400 would be more comfortable. A little more if I can squeeze it on. The thing with solar is that if you're using it in the summer, you'll get one set of results, and then as soon as you get into like winter, even if you're in the desert, the sun's lower in the horizon, you just don't get as much good sun all day. And then if you have cloud cover or if you get stuck with shade or anything, it's just you don't get near enough power. So you kind of want more than you think you're going to need, and then you're covered for those days that are not optimal, especially if you get a few days of clouds in a row, or it just gets mooching Wi-Fi or Livestream. I'm using my Verizon right now, and then I also have the AT&T hotspot on standby just in case Verizon slows down on me. When I did the speed test right before I started, Verizon was a little bit faster, so I'm using it for that one right now. Okay, so I was going to talk about my library office. That leads into that about my day-to-day. I'm staying at my son's house while I'm looking for a van, and that means I've got a minimum of 2 granddaughters there, a 14-month-old and a 4-year-old going on 30, and she's the precocious one, I refer to her as. And then the another granddaughter is there a couple days a week when she doesn't have preschool, and she's 4, and then the 5-year-old, or the 6-year-old, excuse me, is there in the afternoon sometimes, and sometimes other times. So it's kind of like, as much as I love seeing them, trying to focus and work when I got all of them running around wanting to play with Pops and see what Pops is working on and talk to Pops about the video he's trying to edit and all that stuff. And then what happens is I do a video like the tour we put up with Carol, and I forget to include the clip of her cool curtains and stuff because I forgot about it because I was distracted with the grandkids. Uh, so so a lot of days what I do is I go to our public library here and work. I've got one favorite table that most of the time I can get if I get there early in the morning, and that's kind of my unofficial temporary office right now. So I go there most days. Their Wi-Fi there is kind of iffy. Sometimes it's okay, other times it's not even usable. Usually you can at least use it for routine stuff, which, but as far as uploading videos, it's kind of like I typically either do that at my son's house in the evening or I come to the park like I did today because it was nice today. So I come to the park and it's usually pretty quiet this time of year here. And I'll, put the windows down and put up the reflectix and enjoy some the birds and the ducks and the geese and what have you, and chill for a bit at the park, get some fresh air because I'm kind of going through nature withdrawals being in the city here. So I try and find some greenery here in between, So if the weather's terrible, I might stay at the library longer, or just go back to the house once I got the more pressing work done. That's my unofficial office. And one of the things I found with libraries, they vary a lot, and the size of the city isn't always a good indication, but they vary a lot. Some have like very little seating, others have multiple desks with comfortable chairs and electrical outlets, and those are really great. Gillette's kind of in between. Internet can vary a lot. It's usually not that fantastic, but there've been a few. Cottonwood, Arizona, blazing internet. Flagstaff, Arizona, their main downtown library. The parking's terrible, but the internet's fantastic. Pahrump, Nevada, amazing, really good internet. Probably the fastest I've seen in the library. So it's not always the size of the city or anything. Sometimes it'll surprise you. But those are my fallback. So and those three cities, if I'm there, I'll actually go. Oftentimes, if I have something to upload, I'll go into the library on purpose to upload because it's so fast compared to even using even a good cellular connection. And I don't always have a good cellular connection. So let's see. Oh, Joan, thank you. Joan just made a donation through PayPal. Let's see. Kind of cooktop. Right now I have two in the trunk actually. Right now I have a butane one, just like Deborah has, the Coleman single burner butane, and I really like that stove all around. Nice form factor. The good temperature control. The catch with those is the butane cartridges can be hard to find. You'll also hear everybody say they're more expensive. They're a little more expensive, but you actually do all the math on it. It's not like double the price or anything. It just seems like it on the surface. But when you they can be hard to find. And we've had times when we can't find them. So I try and carry a few extras, and then replenish them as I use them, so that I'm never too low for when that happens. And people think, you'll hear people say you could always find the green bottles of propane. We actually ran into this in Pahrump this year where we could not find green bottles of propane, and it was during a cold snap, so we were using it for lanterns for heat and for cooking. Lanterns for heat and for heat. Yeah, lanterns and heat. There we go. Okay. We weren't cooking with it. We were using butane for cooking. Couldn't find it. Walmart was out. Checked a couple places. Couldn't find it. Finally found it at a Big Five, and it was literally twice the price of what it normally is at Walmart. So the green bottles, you want to keep a few spares of as well. But I've got the butane, the single burner butane one like Deborah had, and I've also got a jet boil that's kind of convenient in the little car here for some things. It's great for boiling water, making coffee, that kind of stuff. And it's really fast. And I don't know I may end up doing propane again. We'll just, yeah. I'm not positive on the next step on that, but let's see. There we go. Yeah, Chuck's saying the old high top conversion van is not as cheap as the cost of a high top edition. That is 100% true. If you can find one of those, and that's what I'm hoping. If you can find one of those, it's actually, you can spend you buy the van for the price of putting a high top on a regular van. That's people ask all the time why we didn't just put a high top on Deborah's van. And that's because they're like getting it done at a reputable shop. They're like $3,000 or $4,000 for a high top. So that's a good chunk of change on a older van. It's like, a little hard to justify that, I think. But if you got that, so if you can find a older van that's already a high top, that's the way to go financially. And, there we go. Video for van lifers with the best connections at libraries or other places. Now I'll have to. That's a good video idea. I'll have to keep that in mind. Yeah, internet for when you work, if you're a digital nomad like I am, and I have to be online to work. Um, it ranks up there with water. It's just an essential. Electricity, internet, and water. There you go. I can go without food for a day or two, but not without um, and I sometimes do that. I get busy and don't bother eating. But yeah, I gotta have. Now I have gotten, without doing the freelance work. Now I have gotten to where I can sometimes get offline for a couple days if I plan it ahead of time. It definitely puts a crimp in productivity and get stuff done. So. So Kimmy's getting a minivan. Has a house and just wants to try it out. Minivans are really great, a great option. Um, I loved mine. I'm trying to do a lot in the van. I'm trying to cook. I'm in it full time, so I'm trying to cook and I'm trying to work and carry all my stuff. And it was just a little bit small. Some of the other models, like the new Nissan NV200s, there's a few others that I might have been able to pull it off on. But I had the town and country with a pretty low roof, and it just even if I put a desk in, I would have to sit like so low because of the ceiling height that it would be uncomfortable to even sit. So I ended up working in the passenger seat, and I actually eventually swiveled it around. Um, I think minivans are a great option for a lot of people, especially if you're doing it part time or if you're just trying it out, because they're easy to drive. You can use it as a normal vehicle, and you can try it out. And if you want, and you'll be able to figure out if that's going to be enough space for you. If it's not, you can always upgrade to something bigger. But then you'll know. And the fuel efficiency is a big deal, and just there's a lot of conveniences with a minivan. And if you have to do any stealth camping, if you got window tint or anything, nobody looks at minivans. It's just I stayed a lot of places and never had a problem. I have not bought vehicles from auctions. I know people have. Um, I like to be able to like drive stuff and check it out that good, and I'm not sure I'd be satisfied with that. But if you got it at the right price, where you have a buffer still to fix unexpected stuff, that could be a way to save some money. Oh, hello, Noreen. Thanks for glad you could make it here this week. Let's see. Yeah, I actually the Jetboil I bought it. It was a kit, and it came with the pan attachment. And I have used that a few times. I won't tell you how long it took me to figure out how to get it properly attached. It was simple once I did it, but it took more tries than I want to admit to get it to actually get it hooked up and used. Let's see, Samantha suggested. Yes, yeah, Deborah, that's the Samantha suggestions when I was talking there about the video idea. I probably didn't really I didn't read the whole comment, but yes, that's a good idea on video on finding internet and good places to go and that kind of thing. Um, that's a good video idea. Oh, Kimmy's in New York. That's where my adopted home state. I was there for like 20 years before I came out west. And yeah, it's definitely easier to find older stuff out here that's in solid shape. I brought a couple cars out west to Montana from that I'd bought in New York at different times, and the mechanics were always horrified the first time they put it on a lift when I had to bring it in for something. They see all the rust and everything. And Trying to catch up again here, everybody. I'll be right back with you. Yeah, the gas mileage is a significant thing with the minivans. My town and country I had the 3.8 V6 in it with an automatic, and if I held it at like 62 to 65, I could consistently get 26 to 28 miles a gallon out of it with a cruise on, which was really fantastic. I'd been assuming I'd get like 20 out of it, so I was really thrilled with that. So not quite the 42 or 43 I got out of the Echo here, but definitely a big deal. And that allowed me to do some traveling I would not have been able to do if I was getting like 10 miles a gallon or something. So that does add up. So actually, Deborah and I, we traveling together somewhere, and we stopped for gas, and I'd be horrified at like she had to stop before I did, and then like how much her fill-up was compared to mine was always like. So yeah, that's a significant consideration. Yeah, it's yeah, that's a little rough on the gas mileage of some of those vans. And we've never been able to get Deborah's above what's it 12 to 14, I think, 12 to 14 miles a gallon, and that's with being tuned up and everything, and it just that's just what it gets. Drops to like 11 if you haul a trailer, but otherwise it's yeah, that rust out east, boy. That's most vehicles get retired just from the rust. So yeah, Noreen, I got a solid lead on something I think is gonna be coming together in about a week or so. So I will update everybody. I'll film that process and update everybody. I have no reason to think it won't all come together, but I don't want to throw out too many details till it's a done deal. Um, okay. Oh yeah. But next thing on my list here, before I forget, I gotta say happy birthday to my dad. I don't know if he's watching or not, but today is his birthday. He went to one of their favorite seafood. They live in Massachusetts. So he went to one of their favorite seafood places for lunch down on Cape Cod. And then they were at the. They sent pictures. They were at the ocean and saw seals lined up on the I don't know the beach or the breakwater. I'm not sure where it was at. So just gotta give a shout out to him. Uh, so yeah, I got a video coming up on To Meander tomorrow. Actually dedicated. Deborah probably hasn't seen it yet. I dedicated it to my father because he taught me to appreciate horses at a young age, and so this video, we got a video coming up tomorrow on To Meander. We had this really cool experience when we were in Nevada this spring. Um, Deborah looks out the window one day and goes, "Those horses are just running back and forth over there, back and forth, like they're being chased by something or whatever." And we'd seen one other time when a neighbor's dog was chasing them, the wild horses. So we were concerned with something like that. So we, booked as fast as we could on the off road through the desert down to the pavement and around and up to the next block and back up the gravel road again till we were closer. And I walked in, and well, it wasn't being, they weren't being chased by a dog. It was a really, really cool experience, what we got to witness. And so that video is coming up tomorrow on To Meander. So so a few of you have already seen it. So we did an early release on Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, if you're a patron and you haven't already seen it, you can get an early access. Just go into Patreon, you'll see the video there. You can check it out. I know a few of you have already watched that. So that was fun getting that done. And I was on a posting schedule. I'm trying to put up. We're trying to continue our 2 a week on To Meander right now. So we're going to continue. We still have a bunch of Monday tour videos scheduled for Mondays, and I'll try not to forget any more footage with future ones. Sorry, Carol. And then we'll be doing something on Thursday, something fun, or the Thursdays will vary. Maybe it's like something fun or travel or just some other information type thing. But this week's is with the horses, and then I'm trying to do 2 a week on this one, plus the live chat. So just so you know what to expect there. And I got another one coming up on this week for probably be Friday on my channel. I have to look at my notes here because I can't remember. Somebody left a comment and was asking specifically on cars, but how do you manage some of the things like that are easier in a van. Stuff like drinking, cooking, bathing, that kind of stuff. So I started to answer the comment. Rose's gonna make a blog post. So I'm just gonna make a video about that and address some of those things in cars and small vehicles. That'll be coming up later this week too. So, oh, Cody, thanks for joining us tonight. Have a good evening. Oh, Deborah's got to go too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Deborah, Gina. I'm glad you guys were able to come in and join me tonight. Um, and safe travels getting back to camp. I understand the whole not getting back after dark if you can help it thing. That's how we got lost in the desert in Pahrump this winter. We got back in a snowstorm, actually. We did a video the next day from the storm. We got back after dark, and it's like blowing, snowing like crazy. The wind's coming down. The wind's so hard, the snow is snowing sideways. Couldn't see anything, and I got lost out in the desert. But we did eventually find our way back to camp. But that was a little extra adventure. Oh, there you go. Chuck's talking about handicapped minivans that have a lowered floor and extra strength in suspension with good ground clearance. That could be a real good option for minivans, and some of those have a higher roof too, which would be really nice. Yeah, Deborah, say hello to Tracy for me. 200% all-wheel drive. I know some people who are traveling. I don't know about off-road performance. As a general rule, a lot of the all-wheel drives are better than not all-wheel drive, but they're not quite four-wheel drive type performance either. Some of that would have to depend with is it's going to depend on the way they've got the drivetrain configured. Uh, like the Toyota Camry I used to have, the thing would not spin out because the computer was drive by wire. The throttle was electronic, so it simply wouldn't let you give it enough throttle to spin or something. So that worked great in snow. I could not drive that car in mud. It got stuck every time. It just because you couldn't rev it up. Um, so that would it would depend a lot on that. But and tires help a lot in terms of off road performance. But then of course you get into a more aggressive tread and you get into noisy and maybe a little rougher ride. But that can make a big difference in terms of performance there. So. Da, da, da. Oh, Jones asking about the super chat thing. When you get your YouTube account set up with monetization, there's if you want to monetize on live chats, it's a separate step. And I forgot about that last time because I'd never done a live chat on this channel. So, after people were mentioning it, I'm like, I think I remember when I set up 2Meanders last year that there was an extra step. So, and then I forgot about it for a week. So I'm literally sitting here, waiting for the thing to start. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So I had to get the laptop out. And sure enough, there it was. It was just one little button I had to click and, and that fixed it. So, oh, Tony in Arkansas. Hello. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, so I've been through my list now, I think, for everything I had to talk about. So anybody else got any questions or comments or anything here? Oh, thanks, Catherine. Have a good evening, and I will I will definitely be updating. I think I got something coming together in about a week here, so I will definitely keep you update as that happens, and I'll try and film some of it. And like I said, I got another few other fun videos coming up pretty quick too that are getting scheduled and worked out. So. Do extended full-size vans get stuck more in national forest situations? One thing about the extended gives you more room, which is nice. And obviously they're a little more of a challenge in parking lots of stuff because they're longer. But the only place I've heard of people having trouble with the extended van compared to a regular van is because of dips. And so like if you have these washes in the desert, or if you have a washout or a lot of the if you have it humor me if you already know this, but if you're not familiar with driving on BLM and Forest Service roads, they're not dirt roads like your county dirt road that's actually is drained and has a base and then is maintained. They just are literally like a path that got drove on, and so it's whatever the soil is. And so sometimes you get, like, especially in the BLM, they'll go through washes, and so you get, and some of those are steep, and so I've heard of people getting stuck because of what they call a departure angle. That's the angle from your rear wheel to the bumper, and it's long in an extended van, and so I've heard of people getting stuck with those, just like with RVs cause the same problems there. Um, and other than that, the big thing is that you typically don't have positive traction or limited slip or anything. So if you drop one wheel in a hole or anything, that's going to be true whether it's extended or standard length. It's a kind of a problem there. Again, better tires help, and they make traction. I don't have any. I need to get some when I have the room to carry them. They don't fit in here, and they didn't fit in Deborah's van the way we were loaded. They're tire traction mats, they call them. You can get them on Amazon for fairly inexpensive, and they're plastic anyways, and they have like nubbies on them. And if you get into a sticky situation, you can stick them under the wheels, and the tire drives up onto these, and they help float it above the mud. And yes, the knobs give you traction to get out. So that's a real valuable tool. Probably more bang for your buck on that than carrying a come along or something, because then you have to have somewhere to pull off of. But that will be the big thing with extended vans, and it's not like it's a huge problem. It's just something to be aware of. Because any vehicle you're taking on an off road, you're gonna have to just be aware of where you're driving and what the road conditions are like, and whether your vehicle can handle it. So it's just something to be aware of, is all, that you got that extra uh, hang in the back, and if you have to go through like a wash, or if you're going through a washed out section of road in the forest or something, or a real steep spot, you may drag. We had a similar thing with Deborah's van for a while. We had a hitch haul in the back, a cargo rack, and it was basically the same effect, because it brought it back about 2.5 feet, and places we used to be able to go through, we'd catch that on. So I had to watch out for anything that was a steep, basically anything. So you're going up steep, whether you're going through a wash or whether it's just a steep incline all of a sudden, and they come up out there. So it's just a matter of if you got a co-pilot, you can get somebody to stand out and watch while you're moving slow, and make sure you're not going to hit something or get stuck. That's kind of a way around it. Well, let's see what else are we missing here. So. How's the weather? Noreen's getting itchy feet to visit Western Wyoming again. It's been pretty nice. Today it was cloudy off and on, and then we had some rain here right as the live chat was starting. But it's been pretty decent. We had right after I got up here, we had a 3 or 4 days. It was bitter cold and snowing, but that's gone again. So it's been pretty nice. So let's see. Oh, Kimmy, thank you. Glad you enjoyed the photos there with the ducks and the birds. That was this is kind of my default little bit of parks. Is the greenest place in the city, so, and it's got a nice lake. So I come here periodically to go for a walk or whatever. And I actually recorded the video, the rest of the video, at one of the picnic pavilions here, and then. Well, the first one I did, the first clip was shot on the landing down by the lake, and then most of it was recorded in a picnic pavilion, and with all the birds and the ducks on the geese. I gotta walk around and get a few clips. So a lot of people seem to enjoy that, so that was nice. Oh, Sandy, I'm guessing that was an education for sure. I'm guessing you're talking about the roads, because of when that came up. Um, those 4x4 vans are pretty cool. They're hard to find and they're expensive, but they're pretty cool. They're kind of the holy grail for a lot of nomads. Anytime one pulls into a parking lot to go by the road, it was like, oh, a 4x4 van. They're pretty cool. The price is high, and I don't know that I want to spend that much money on something. On a, because even when they were, they're older and less expensive, they're still ridiculously expensive, just because they're they're so in demand. And I think there would be a lot of money to spend on something that you're going to be putting major work into from just because they're older and higher mileage. But they are pretty cool, and I understand they work well. So let's see. All right, so C Martel, thank you, I appreciate that. Yes, Sandy. That's what I thought. That's when I saw that pop up. It was, and it is, and I've been doing these kind of roads off and on for years since I moved out west. But even still, I had this idea that when I started traveling full time again a few years ago, that I, it was just a surprise. Put it that way, because you hear about these places, or you read about the reviews. Oh, you can get here, and then it's like, I'm not driving my car down that road. And I started out, that time in a Camry, so I was like, and that was the big thing, was the ground clearance, and that it was good traction, but the ground clearance was just terrible. So, oh, hello, Paul. Glad you could make it on here. And then the ground clearance is the big thing with the Echo here too. It's just so low to the ground. Of like even just a little rock, man, I think I can catch something. And so that's the traction of this is fine. I've never gotten stuck or anything. It's just it's hard to get. You can get a lot of ruts and washouts and boulders in the road, and so it can kind of be a challenge navigating around all that. So ground clearance is kind of a big deal. Oh, do I like reading Walt Whitman or Robert Frost? I do read a lot. Not as much as I'd like right now because I've been too busy working, but um, I do like to read. I'm a big reader, and I've read both Whitman and Frost. Robert Frost is actually an ancestor of mine on my father's mother's side of the family. Um, so that's pretty cool. I've been to the old Frost homestead up in New England, and so that's kind of so I like reading his stuff occasionally. I'm not a huge poetry fan, but I do read it sometimes, and those are those are both people that I have read, and I appreciate their nature and nature work and stuff. Oh, I'd have to get the thing out to get the exact details on that because I can't remember off the top of my head now. But I know it's on my mother, my father's mother was a Frost, um, and so it's on that side. It was like, I don't know, a couple generations back, but she had our genealogy mapped out all the way back to like the 1600s. She spent years working on that before the internet was a thing, when you could go to ancestry.com, and she just spent years going to libraries and courthouses all over New England. That was her, avocation, basically, tracking all that stuff down. And this is quite interesting. She put a couple of books together that we all have. So I'd have to look that up, but to get better, I'll have to find that for a future video. That's what I'll do. I'll get that information. Um, but yeah, my family, historically, they're all from New Hampshire and southern Maine and up there. So yeah, got a couple new people logging on here. Midnight Run Kennel and let's see, PM Wizard. Glad you got able to join. Um, so so we're kind of winding down here, I think. Um, I went through everything I had on my list, but I really appreciate everybody logging on tonight. I always enjoy doing these, and so I'll plan on. I'm like 99% sure I'll be able to do it on Wednesday again next week. But I'll post one way or the other on social media and stuff to announce it. But I'm planning on doing it Monday again. Um, and um, so let's see. Oh gosh, let's see here. Okay. Oh, so Samantha, thank you. I appreciate that plug there. Towing a car with a dolly. This one is right from Toyota that say you can do it. You have to have the tow bar connected to the front of the car, of course, and they can be a little tricky to get done on front wheel drives. But in this case, it came all set up because the people used to have it towed behind a Class A, so it was all set up. But the only thing you do basically is that you have to have a car that can be done, and this one's a 5-speed, and Toyota says it works fine. So you put it in neutral. You have to leave the key in the accessory position so the steering wheels can turn while you're going, and the parking brake off, and that's basically it. I have some magnetic lights that go on a trunk, and it just tows. The catch with towing four down is you cannot back up. And I mean that not like it's hard to do, like you just can't. It just does the, you know, the same as like towing on a car on the tow dollies. You just can't back them up. So if you get stuck somewhere, like you're pulling somewhere you shouldn't have, or you're going down a forest road and it suddenly dead ends or deteriorates to where you can't drive on it anymore. Don't ask me how I know about these situations. You have to park and disconnect the car and turn both vehicles around and then reconnect the car. So that's kind of really the big hassle with it, is that you can't back up. But other than that, it's pretty simple. Once it's set up to go, it's pretty simple. Here we go. We got some poetry going here, and let's see. Beth was born and raised on Long Island, homestead in northern New Hampshire, and listening to North Dakota. All right. Beth, I'm from Massachusetts originally. My family's from New Hampshire, so I lived in New Hampshire as a kid, too. Mostly grew up in Mass, lived in upstate New York for like 20 years, right on the Vermont border. And then I moved, more or less, I still call that home, but I moved out to Montana, and now my daughter dragged me down to Wyoming. I actually worked for a year over right on the North Dakota border, and a couple of my sons are up there in North Dakota right now working this week. They work down here normally, but they got sent up there for the week because that's their industry. So, info on my book. I got a few. The one they're talking about is my most recent one that just came out earlier this year. Is How to Be a Successful 21st Century Nomad. If you go to my website, robertwitham.com/books, they're all on there, and there's links for it. You can order it from in paperback from Amazon. You can order a signed paperback. We have a Gumroad store with Meander. You can go. There's a link for that. You can also get it in ebook from Amazon, Smashwords, Apple, a whole bunch of places. So basically everywhere. Yeah, robertwitham.com/books. You can get all the details on that. So, um, Geneva, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, I've been through there before. I was on the other side of the state over by Vermont, but oh, that's cool. So you're Beth, you're way up north there. That's pretty country up there. I lived in for a while. We lived in the they call Upper Valley, Vermont, and what was the name of that town? It's right across from Lebanon, New Hampshire. Nice little classic Vermont town with a little general. We literally had a general store with creaky old hardwood floors, and they had like everything in their hardware store and groceries and everything else. That was a store in town. It was an experience. Yeah, a lot of wine in the Finger Lakes up there. That I'll do my upstate New York thing. I worked in journalism in New York for a while and covered some agricultural stuff. And one of the things that the New York State Ag and Markets likes to promote that a lot of people don't know is that upstate New York produces more wine than Napa Valley. They produce more dairy than Wisconsin, and they produce more maple than Vermont. So it's very agricultural up there. And one of the things that cracks me up coming out west, where you got all these wide open spaces, everybody's packed in. Even in the little town, everybody's packed in right on top of each other. And I'm always like, guys, I come from upstate New York in a town where at Cambridge, where I live, the average property lot size in the town is 30 acres. So everybody's got a little room, Even in the village, some of the lots are 3/4 of an acre, and some are a little bigger than that. So I'm always amazed out west. It's like it's wide open. Why don't you spread out a little bit? Yeah, I do enjoy print books still. The last few I've only done in ebooks, just because. But I decided to go ahead and do this one. It's an extra step and everything, but the formatting and all of the process to get it done. But I decided to do this one in paperback as well, and that's been fun having a physical book again. So that was worth the process. But it is ebooks are convenient, and but it's nice to have a paper book too. I rely a lot on ebooks these days personally for reading, just because space is so limited that I can put multiple books on my iPhone or something, and or read them on the computer and not have to haul extra stuff. But I do still carry some paper books. I have a handful that, and when I get a larger vehicle, you'll see them on display, and they'll be in there. But right now they're stuffed in a box in the trunk. Yeah, New York is not New York City. New York City. I always tell people that the consensus upstate is that New York City should secede and be a different state, because it's a totally different deal from the rest of the rest of the state. Mostly rural, and a lot of agriculture, a lot of forest, a lot of mountains. It's very beautiful up there. I brought Deborah through there last spring, and she was really pleasantly surprised. And when we got there, if we were there a few days, she's like, I don't know why you ever left. And then we had 5 weeks of rain. I mean, it was like we had 5 days out of 5 weeks it didn't rain. After 5 weeks of rain, she's like, it's no wonder you left. It's no wonder you made it as long as you did. But it was not normally like that. That was kind of a crazy wet year. And whenever we try and do a van build or anything like that, the weather does that. We just managed to do that. And yeah, Lower Hudson Valley is pretty too. I used to get down there some for work and stuff. So yeah, I used to think Long Island was a city too, just because and then I don't know how many years ago it was now. I went down there anyways with a friend, and I was just amazed. I was like, oh, finally you get out of it, like it settles down. But that was a bit of a surprise, because I really just figured it was all big city. So all right, well, I've been going for a while here, so I'm gonna wrap this up and go see some grandkids before they have to go to bed. Um, get some hugs and cuddles and that kind of stuff. So uh, oh, there you go. Spotted a panel van. Once you get doing this stuff for a while, you just pick them out. You get like a mile away. You're like, oh, they're full time, and they're full time. They're traveling and that thing. Uh, all right. Well, yeah, I really, really appreciate everybody joining me tonight. This is a lot of fun for me. I hope y'all enjoyed it. These are very rewarding, and I appreciate all the questions and stuff, because um, it's like it's awkward when you're sitting on here on live video and you run out of something to say, and it's like you sit there thinking, what am I gonna? When you're driving with your friend, you can just like look out the window for a few minutes and pick up the conversation. That's awkward on video if you run out of stuff to talk about. So I appreciate that, the questions and stuff, and say, make sure you have some for next week, and we will plan on being here again Wednesday at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern, and hopefully that's a time that with the time zones, we just can't hit a perfect time for everybody. Oh, Lori, hello, and but hopefully that's a time that kind of works for at least people to get the beginning or the end or something. And but I'll hopefully be on next week. I might be doing some running around with that vehicle. I hope comes together. So um, we'll plan on doing that. And yeah, I appreciate y'all joining me, and we will wrap this up. And I will see everybody next week. And like I said, one more video coming up tomorrow. The two Meander. You want to check out that horse video? It's really cool. You'll want to see that. And then I got one probably Friday. I'll cover some small vehicle essentials. How to deal with some of the unique constraints of being in a car or a small vehicle, smaller than a van, which is kind of small anyways, right? So we're going to cover some small stuff on Friday.